In this video I will work in the base and in the top of this display cabinet, installing the crown molding. To make the base I will use this board. I mark the length I want, and I draw the cutting line. I will cut right on that groove. That is the groove I use to guide my table saw sled. I removed the screw I had screwed on in the groove, because I don't want to damage the circular saw disc. I check it is right the length I want it to be, and I use that piece to mark the length in the other piece I need to cut. I make sure both pieces are right the same length. I adjust the table saw fence to 20 cm, and I cut both pieces to that width. I will use this small round-over router bit to route a molding in the sides and in the front of this glass cabinet base. I adjust the vertical cutting edge to be halfway below the edge of the board. I put the piece I cut before behind the board. This is to avoid moving the bearing behind the board. I clamp both pieces, and I route the side, cutting it in several passes. And now I route the front. I cut the last pass, moving first the bit in the side, to get a perfect cut in the corner. Again, to cut the other side, I put the piece of board behind my workpiece. Now I will cut the crown molding. First I cut the side pieces. I make sure I will cut them some longer than needed, and I mark the diagonals, just to make sure I don't make a mistake when I cut them. I put the molding in my meter box, clamping it with this plastic piece. One must be careful so that the saw doesn't go out of the opening. I cut both pieces and I check how they fit in. I put them right in the corner and I mark the length. With the lines next to the opening, I cut both pieces. Now I mark the diagonal in that end in the front molding. If the mark looks up, then it is at 90 degrees with the disc, but when I turn the piece, the line is aligned with the disc. The surface with the mark must be resting on the meter jig base. I use another piece of molding to hold the piece I want to cut. I clamp both together using a foam sanding block, because I don't want to damage the molding, and I must make sure it won't move. Maybe using this jig is not a safe way to cut, so I make sure I am not behind the saw. And when I cut, I make sure the back of the saw disc does not reach the strip, and I hold the saw firmly with both hands until the saw disc stops, before I move away the circular saw. If you want to work safe, it is more safe to buy a meter saw. Nowadays I have a meter saw. With the help of the side molding, I put the front molding in place, and I mark the length and the diagonal, because I don't want to make any mistake. Now I will use the other side of the skill saw meter jig to cut the end of the molding. I can see the mark, so it is easy to adjust the disc to the line. I tried to cut that piece in the meter box, but it was impossible to me to adjust the right length, so I used this circular saw meter jig. Using this meter guide, I can easily cut something like ½ millimeter each time. Before I continue, I will change the configuration of the meter jig to crosscut jig, and I trim 1 mm in the base and in the top of the display cabinet sides. That is to make sure the surfaces are flat and square. Both sides must be identical. I will use some dowels to put the base and the top together with the cabinet sides. I used that block of wood with 90 degrees angles to clamp the cabinet sides in place. There are more or less 13 mm from the back of the molding to the front of the cabinet side, and it must be there the same distance in the sides. I mark where I want to drill, and I drill the holes for my 8 mm dowels. I had to put another clamp and unclamped that one because it was disturbing me. I want the dowels to protrude, so I drill the holes shorter than the length of my dowels. I mark the pieces with numbers to make sure I won't make a mistake when I put them together again. I insert the dowels and I put the sides. Because the dowels protrude, I have to turn the whole thing to push the base against the cabinet sides. I need to measure from the edge of the base to the side, about 2 cm. I put the top in place, clamping it to one side with the help of that strip. I make sure everything is in place. I mark where to drill, and I drill. I insert the dowels, and I do the same with the other side. Now I can install the crown molding. This surface in the molding is narrower than the front of the top. I will align this edge with this one. I apply some carpenter's glue, and with the help of a headless nail I hold that piece in place. With the help of the side piece of molding I make sure it is in the right position, and I insert the nail some more. I apply some glue in the side molding. I adjust it in position, and I nail it. With a nail punch I insert the nails all the way. I adjust the other side of the front molding, and I put the side piece of molding in place. And I insert the nails all the way with the nail punch. Now we can see the shape of this piece of furniture. Thanks for watching. You can find all my woodworking videos in my YouTube channel. And if you like my videos, thanks for subscribing to my channel.